Hi everyone. So we're just going to start in a couple of minutes, right? Because we're waiting for others to join in. Till then, what we can do is, let you guys introduce yourselves, right? I already know some of you. So what I want is just give me a brief introduction, right? Uh, like what do you actually do, right? Why have you enrolled for this course, and what are your expectations out of it? Are you just looking for a certification, or are you also trying to, appear for interviews and go in this domain, and then after that, take up a specialization in cybersecurity, right? So let's start with Akshay, right? Akshay, I hope you're able to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hi, Akshay.
Yeah. Hi.
So yeah, could you give me a brief introduction?
Yeah. So my full name is Akshay Gajanan Kharve. I am basically from Mumbai.
Right.
Uh, I have 2 years of experience. Currently, I'm looking for a job and also exploring various domain. Actually, I'm looking for entering into a security domain. So
Right.
my expectation is I just want the brief introduction about the security and to see for the what I can do for in this domain.
Cool. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So, Hemant, yes, Hemant, would you like to unmute yourself? Anyways, if anyone is, feeling shy or something like that, you could just write down in the chat box. I'm fine with that. Yeah, so we've got someone named Lenovo, right? I know that's not your name, right? So could you rename yourself? There's an option called where you can rename yourself, right? Okay. I've already interacted with Rahul. I know Rahul well. So let's uh, talk to Smita. Yes, Smita.
Either you're talking to Sumit or
Yeah, I mean, you could start if Smita is taking some time.
okay.
Yep, I can talk to Sumit. That's fine. Yep.
All right, yeah. From the industry side, I do have 16 years of experience. Out of that, initial 3 years is for the technical side. I worked as a network planner and the implementer, and after that,
Mm,
13 years as a project manager. So,
awesome.
so in last year, I mean January 2022, I joined the cybersecurity team. That is more over towards network side. So
Okay.
in last 1 year, I'm working as a cybersecurity project manager in British Telecom. So from this course, my expectation is probably I can find out more opportunities within the same organization.
Right. And I mean, any specific domain that you like
So
in
honestly
cybersecurity?
speaking, from the firewall side, I do have bit understanding, but
Right.
so if I'll talk about like CEH, you're asking for a specific domain. So honestly, I don't have that much of understanding. So probably after this call, after this session, probably I'm able to identify like where I have to move or what kind of opportunities are there in the market. So yeah.
Right. Right. Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Raju. Okay. Yeah, Raju, would you like to give an introduction? Nope. Okay, that's all good. So we've got Tarun, Yuvraj. Well, we've got a lot of them, right? So what we can do is you could just write down, a brief introduction about yourself in the chat box and what are your expectations, right? That would be fine. I mean, I don't want to spend a lot of time, right? I don't want to, make you guys feel shy, right? Make it awkward. So that's fine. Okay. So my name is Adhirath, and I'm going to be the instructor for your course, right? Uh, so I have been teaching various cybersecurity courses here at Networkings, right? Uh, I have a master's in network and telecom and another master's in cybersecurity, right? And I've authored various research articles in the field of cybersecurity, especially malware analysis, right? Especially malware analysis, right? So, yep, you will be, yeah, I mean, you guys are stuck with me for a couple of months now, right? Where I will be teaching you the course called CEH, and my focus is not entirely on the certification, right? Because it's easy to get a certification, and plus this certification CEH practical is open is an open book exam. So if you're stuck somewhere, all you need to do is go to Google and find the answer. No, it's not going to be that easy, but yeah, I'll show you the tips and tricks, right? So don't worry about it. So this is going to be the first session of CEH, and I call this class 0 because I won't be teaching anything today. I will be walking you through the exam objectives, right? And I'll also uh, talk about the resources that we will be using for this course, right? So this is class 0. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is the certification itself. Now, in the last session, the demo session, right? Uh, I talked about the topics that we would be covering, right? And the list is non-exhaustive, which means that there will be other topics as well that we'll be dealing with, right? So we've got Android security, we've got VoIP security, we've got Windows security, we've got Linux security, right? Web security. So these are just the main modules that we'll be dealing with. Inside each module, there are several topics, right? So in a couple of days, you are going to receive the credentials for your iLabs, which I do not want you to activate right away. Okay. You won't be activating the credentials right away. Why is that so? Because these credentials are valid for 6 months, right? We haven't set this deadline, right? Or we haven't set this expiry timeline. It's from EC Council. Okay. It's from EC Council. So wait till I finish 75% of the course, right? Wait till I finish 75% of the course. And then I would advise you to activate your course portal, right? At that time I'm going to tell you to activate your course portal. Okay. So this is what the iLabs are going to look like. So the iLabs are not just for CH practicals, they are also for CEH V11. Okay. They're actually for both, right? For CEH practical, you have to focus only on a few modules, right? For example, footprinting and reconnaissance, scanning networks, enumeration, vulnerability analysis, system hacking. Don't have to worry about malware threats. It's all good. Session hijacking, hacking web apps and web servers, SQL injection, and cryptography, right? So for CH practicals, these are the important modules. You don't have to finish all of them, right? Only some of them. Now, how would a module look like? Okay. So let me open this one for you, hacking mobile platforms, and I would launch this lab. So this lab is browser based. Okay, so even if you are working, if you want to work on this lab, maybe through your tablet or your phone, that is also possible, but you would have to connect a keyboard, right? So these labs are browser based and they don't take any RAM or CPU or any other resources from your device. Okay, you just need to have a working browser, and through that you'll be able to launch this lab environment. So the lab environment takes a little bit of time in getting set up completely. Right. So these labs are self-paced. I will be teaching them, but the classes, the live classes are not going to focus on iLabs. What is the reason for that? The reason is that they've got complete walkthroughs, they've got the exact steps on how to proceed further. Okay. So these are the lab tasks that you have to perform. And this is the first lab, hack Android devices. Okay. So what do you have? You've got resources. Now, under the resources section, you'll find all the operating systems. So you have around 6 operating systems available to you. In order to access any operating system, you just have to click on it and it will open. The credentials are provided. The lab steps are also outlined here. Okay. So each module has a couple of labs that you have to perform. Okay. And the exam itself, CEH practical, would be from the iLabs, right? So when we finish the live classes and you have practiced these iLabs at least twice, you are good to go and you can take the exam and you can be assured that you will pass it. Okay. So the labs are browser based and so is your exam, right? So is your exam. So the exam is also browser based. Now, what I would suggest you is when you activate these labs, test these labs through different browsers, right? Because see, if I'm accessing it through Safari, you can see that there is a noticeable lag here. I'm trying to move my mouse. I'm trying to move my mouse, but it's slow as compared to when I do it on my real physical OS. There's no lag, there's no latency. But inside this browser, I'm feeling a little bit of latency, right? If this persists during the exam as well, you might face some issues. Why? Because the exam is 6 hours long and you have 20 challenges to deal with, right? You have 20 challenges to deal with. If you're feeling a noticeable lag, you would have to do something about it. So test the labs with different browsers. Try it with Chrome, try it with Firefox, try it with Safari, try it with Opera, try it with Brave, whichever browser you want to use. Okay, that's how you would work with it. Yes, Rahul.
सर मेरे को ये पूछना था like I just wanted to confirm that before we attempt this test I forgot like if I've asked this question in the previous batch like is there any website or maybe like EC Council website itself where we can do a sample test like actual
Hmm.
like how it is going to be like in the real
No,
time.
you won't be able to do that, but there is a website called aspen.ecouncil.org through
Okay,
which you will be booking your exam. Okay,
right.
and the day before, the exam,
Mm.
right? Just a sec. Let me open it. So let me click on login. Log in with my credentials. If you go ahead and book an exam, what you can do is you can test your equipment. Right, you can test your equipment a few days before the exam, right? So you will get the proctor ID. Proctor ID means that there will be someone who will be monitoring you during the exam. They'll be checking you throughout the exam. They'll be monitoring your activities. So you can just test your equipment to make sure whether everything is working properly or not. You get around 30 minutes to do that before the exam as well. Okay. Other than that, there is no option for launching a sample exam. But I can assure you that the exam would look exactly like this. You obviously you won't be getting the steps because then it won't be considered as an exam. They'll give you some questions, right? And you would have to perform them on your browser itself. Now, as far as I know, the best browser to deal with this exam is either Firefox or Chrome. Okay. So if you are using any one of them, you should be fine. You're good to go. All right. You always get similar questions, right? So I'll talk about that as well. Don't worry. Okay. Till then, if you guys have any questions, you can just unmute yourself and ask me.
So, when the access will be provided for this, Adira?
Which one? I'm
And
sorry,
the
I couldn't
practice,
understand
for
you.
the practice browser site.
For the practice, what you
Yeah.
can use is there are multiple platforms, right? And we'll be working with those platforms like
No, so just now
Hackney.
you opened a browser and told us that there will,
This
yeah,
one.
this one. Yes, lab client.
These are the official labs. These are the official labs.
Okay.
Labs from CEH, all of you will be getting. These are the official labs from EC councils, right? So all of you would be getting these labs. You don't have to worry about it at all. Okay.
Okay.
But
Username
as I
credentials
mentioned
will
a
be
couple
shared
of
to
minutes
us.
ago, yeah, credentials will be sent to your email, right? But the thing is, do not activate them until I tell you to, because they are valid for 6 months. Our course usually takes around 3 to 4 months, right? The live classes take around 3 to 4 months to get completed. So that's why I would suggest you not to activate them, because they're valid for 6 months and then you'll have to purchase another iLabs voucher, right? The exam voucher is valid for any year, right? So once you activate it, you have 365 days to take it, right? But you would have to book your exam well in advance, because each day they take only 6 candidates, right? So let's say you start today, you start finding a date for the exam. The best you would get is somewhere around January 5th or 6th. Okay. So I'll go to the website, I'll show you. So this is aspen.ecouncil.org. Let me click on schedule exam. So when I click on schedule exam, it takes me to a different domain, proctor.examspecialists.com. And this is my set of credentials. Let me go through the captcha. All right. So I booked a sample exam, right? It does not require a voucher. Without a voucher, you can also book an exam, but it won't be valid because they'll be checking your exam voucher. So this is just to show everyone how you can book an exam. So I'll go to EC Council, right? I'm going to use CEH practical. I'm going to find a session and let's see what do we have. So although these are the available dates for the exam, but there are no slots because it says NA not available, right? So let me check December. Let me check for December 31st because everyone would be out partying. So there might be some slots available. No, there are no slots available even on 31st. What about first, when people are taking it easy? No slots available on first either. Let's check somewhere around 6th January. So no slots on 6th January either. 7th, nothing. Let's check random dates. 11th, right? So you can take an exam on 11th. You don't have to. I'm just letting you know that if you start booking right now, you would get a date at least 2 months from now, 2 or 3 months from now. Okay. So make sure that you set a deadline for yourself and do not take an exam when do not try to book an exam when there are just 20 days remaining for you to take it, because after that the voucher would expire, right? So start planning your exam after 6 months of activating your voucher. Okay, I think 6 months is more than enough for you to study for the certification. If you focus on each and every concept in the class and you do as instructed by me, you will be able to finish the course and you'll be ready by 2.5 months, right? So this is how you book it. Any questions related to this? No questions? Okay. And now coming to the pattern of the exam. Since it is open book, right? The only thing that you can't do is make notes on a piece of paper. And why would you do that, right? You have Google, you have all the websites available to you, right? Use them. So let's say I am working on a problem. Let's say I'm working on this lab where I have to hack the Android machine and get a shell on it. Okay, I have to get a shell on it using something called ADB. Don't worry about all the terms that I'm using. I'll be teaching all of that. So let's say I'm stuck. I don't know what this is. What is phone exploit? How does it work? It's fine. I'll go to another tab. All right, phone exploit tutorial, right? Open a link and check how the tool works. And I am able to find out how this tool would work. And then I can start running the commands. Okay. So this is how it would work. Got it? And then there are pre-built guides for the exam, right? They're not official. They are by people who have taken this exam before, right? So if I write CEH practical, let me write GitHub. Okay, I'm going to write CEH practical GitHub. So there are different repositories on GitHub already where they have created cheat sheets for you, right? So this person has created a cheat sheet for you, has added all the links that you require, and you can just bookmark this link. And at the time of the exam, let's say if you're facing a problem, you're unable to use Metasploit, right? Open this link, check how the tool works, okay? And you are good to go, right? So at this time in class 0, all of you would be, feeling kind of paranoid. You would be feeling scared, like, is the exam this easy? Can you do anything at all? Yes, you can do whatever you want. Okay, they're not going to stop you. Obviously, don't try to make a call. Don't try to call me at that time. They'll end your exam at that time immediately. What you have to do is you have to start preparing notes, right? So when I deliver the topics, I'll deliver the first topic tomorrow. I will teach you the concepts related to networking first, then Linux, and then we'll land on to CEH, right? Because there are some prerequisites that we need to fulfill, right? Some of you are experienced, some of you are complete beginners, right? Not just in the domain of cybersecurity, in IT overall, right? So I need to deliver those two topics first so that we can get started, right? Guys, if you have any questions, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself. No, multiple screens are not allowed. They won't let you do that at all. Okay. Because it's browser based, all you can do, Rahul, is open another tab, right? They won't allow multiple screens. They are very strict about that. Okay.
Understood. Understood.
Okay. So if you do that, they'll cancel your exam immediately.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Yeah. And then it's a 6 hours exam. So around 15 to 20 minutes of break is allowed. Not more than that. Right. Plus, you would understand how different exams in cybersecurity are, right? So CEH is 6 hours long, OSCP is 24 hours long, PNPT is 5 days long. It does not mean that you have to, sit in that same chair for 24 hours or, 5 days. You can take breaks. Okay, you just have to let them know. Yes, Sumit, you have a question?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, like from tomorrow onwards, you'll start the training and probably we can make our notes. So if I'll say I'm making my notes either on a paper pen or if I'm making notes on any notes on my laptop. So during that exam, probably I can refer both, or I only can refer
No,
the one which are on laptop.
which are on laptop. You are not allowed to use any physical resources.
Okay.
Okay, physical resources are not allowed at all. Right. So when you start making notes, use a note making application. Like you could use OneNote, you could use EndNote. I'm using Obsidian. Then some people use Notion as well, right? So it's up to you. I use Obsidian. It's a simple tool. They don't have a free and a premium version. It's all free. It's open source. So I use this tool. Okay. It all
Yeah.
depends on you, whichever you want to use, right? You could make your notes on Notepad. Whatever you feel is fine for you, you could do that, right? But if you use a dedicated note taking tool, it would be better because you can attach screenshots, you can attach links, right? You can add commands, you can do that, right? So that is why I would suggest you to use a dedicated note taking tool. Got it?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So this is just one of the repositories. There are others as well. Okay. And do read the reviews as well. So for example, this person has added a review of CH Practical. This guy is around 21 years old. Age has nothing to do with this exam at all, right?
I've gone
Yes.
through his website. I've gone through his website.
Right. So
Hmm.
yeah, this person has added almost all the information, right? So this person could not iLab, so he practiced everything through Try Hack Me and Hack the Box. These platforms are free of cost. You can use them and you will still pass your exam. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. Got it? And then you'll also get a list of the tools that are featured in CHI labs. See, this exam focuses on the tools. Okay. And a lot of times my students have told me, why am I not just teaching the tools? That would be much easier, right? See, you guys have paid a lot of amount, right? A lot of money for the course, the certification, and the iLabs, right? So, if I wanted to, I could finish the course in 10 hours, but that wouldn't make any sense. You would just learn the tool. You wouldn't be able to understand the scenarios where those tools are used, right? It's like learning how to drive a car through the manual or by watching videos. But unless and until you drive a car by yourself, you face different kind of scenarios on the road, you won't be able to become a perfect driver. Okay. right? So that is how it works. So for those of you who are thinking that I'm just going to cover the tools and not the scenarios, I'm sorry, this is not what is going to happen in the course. We will be dealing with different scenarios, different situations, right? Because there are 10 tools, right? For each and every phase of hacking, right? Plus, for those of you who have a little bit information related to the phases of hacking, so these phases are, they're just theoretical. Okay, they look good in blogs, they look good when an interviewer is asking questions, but if you talk to hackers, if you talk to real world hackers, right, they don't work in this manner. Hey, I'm going to perform recon first, so I'll use these many tools, then the next step is scanning. Okay, they don't work according to these steps. They could come back to phase 1 after phase 3, right? Even after gaining access, they could still perform some enumeration, right? So this is supposed to be theoretical, and V11 and V12 are theoretical courses. This course is practical. And when you perform something practically, things don't go as you have planned them, right? You will face errors, you will face issues, right? You will refer to a write-up where they're teaching you a tool, and that write-up is 10 years old, or it is 5 years old, or it is 6 years old. And the libraries that were being used in that write-up, libraries as in if there was a programming language and that programming language had some libraries, those libraries might not be valid right now, is at this time. So what would make you an actual hacker, what would make you an actual cybersecurity person, is how you deal with those errors and you correct them. Got it? Is that clear to everyone?
Clear.
Clear? Any questions related to this? Nope. What happened, guys? Like, are you guys feeling sleepy or what? Okay. Maybe you guys would have questions tomorrow, not today, right? Okay, now coming to the labs. Like I said, these labs are supplementary, although they are important for the exam, but for this course, for the live classes, they are supplementary. These are not the primary labs. Okay. We will be creating our own labs. And for that, what you require is your own device. Okay. And I'm hoping that your device has at least 4 gigs of RAM. It should actually be 8, but even if it is 4, we can set the labs up. Yes, so I'm hoping that your laptops, your desktops have at least 8 gigs of RAM. Anyone who has device specs less than that? Anyone? Nope. Okay. So the first thing that you require is a hypervisor here. Okay. So what's a hypervisor? Yeah, Rahul knows the answer, so I'm not going to ask Rahul. Others. What is a hypervisor?
So, as a my understanding, hypervisor is, I'll say, like it's a software to which provide or which helps to create the virtual machines over the laptop or over the one machine.
Right. Exactly. Any hypervisors that you have worked with in the past or that you
VM,
work with currently?
I do have VMware workstation.
All right. Then you've got VirtualBox. And if you're using Mac OS, then you've got VMware Fusion, Parallels. Well, there are a lot of hypervisors available in the market, but the most common ones are VMware Workstation and VirtualBox, right? So VirtualBox is a hypervisor which is completely free of cost, whereas VMware Workstation comes in 2 versions. Workstation Player, where you can only deploy one VM, and Workstation Pro, where you can deploy multiple VMs, but you would have to pay a certain cost. Okay, you would have to pay some money for that. But you don't have to, because there are keys available for VMware Workstation Pro on the GitHub. Okay, they're not crack gen files, they're not some sort of software, they're just keys. Okay, that I'll show you how to get them, and you can just copy paste them on your VMware Workstation, right? And then we require a virtual machine, right? So the official machine for CEH is Parrot Security. In the previous exam, in the previous version, CHV10 and versions before that, they used to have Kali Linux, right? But Kali Linux is owned by Offensive Security, right?
सर ये एग्जाम में भी ये पैरेट ही यूज करना होगा हमें?
You will get these operating systems. Other than these operating systems, you cannot use anything else.
मतलब not even Kali?
Not even Kali.
Okay.
Okay, you can't even use Kali.
So the practice should be done on Parrot. It's better.
I mean, you can practice on both the platforms, on both the operating systems, on both the distributions, but when the exam date is near, perform the labs through Parrot. There is not a lot of difference. Okay,
Tools का तो difference ही नहीं है, although it's just the UI difference, I guess.
just the desktop environment, right?
Yes.
Kali's desktop environment is a little dynamic, right? And Kali is a little is used to be a heavyweight operating system, right?
Right.
So you could not run it on older devices, right, with lesser specifications. But over the years, especially after 2020, Kali Linux can now be deployed on older devices as well, so that's not a problem. Parrot Security is not just for tools that are used for attacking. Parrot Security has all sorts of tools, offensive as well as defensive tools. All right. So what we are going to do is, for our initial classes, we will deploy Kali Linux. Okay, for our initial classes. Once we have covered around 20% of the 25% of the course, we'll work on Parrot Security. I think that would be better, right? So that you get to work with both the distributions, right? So what I'm going to do is, just a sec, guys. I'm going to have some water. Yeah. So we are going to install Kali Linux first. All right. So I'm going to write Kali Linux. Just Google it. This website is going to open, kali.org. Okay. And you have to click on Get Kali. Right. And either you can install the operating system from scratch, right? Give it a certain amount of storage, configure it all by yourselves. Or what you could do is you could just get a pre-built virtual machine, right? This one is easy. So depending on which hypervisor you're working with, you can select a version of that Kali virtual machine. Okay. So VMware Workstation is obviously better, and that's in my experience. Okay. I don't know about all of you. It depends. See, it depends from operating systems to operating systems, right? Some of you would like VirtualBox better. Some of you would like VMware better. On Mac OS, I feel that VMware works better than VirtualBox. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I will install a hypervisor. So I'm going to write VMware workstation there. I'm going to share this link with all of you. I'm going to paste this in the chat box. Right. All you have to do is click on download workstation player for Windows. And from here itself, you can convert it into a pro version. Okay. From here, you can convert it into a pro version. For those of you who are using Mac OS, you have to download VMware Fusion. Okay. Fusion is like the workstation, but workstation, since it does not work on Mac OS, the version that works on Mac OS is VMware Fusion. VMware Fusion is free of cost. Okay. You can run as many virtual machines as you want, right? They'll provide you the license for free. Currently, I have just one operating. I have two operating systems here. Okay, I have two operating systems here that are deployed, so you can deploy as many as you want, right? The problem there, you might face some problems if you have the newer MacBooks, M1 powered MacBooks or M2 powered MacBooks, because their processor is not Intel or AMD. Their processors are ARM processors. Okay. So if you have those MacBooks, you could let me know in the chat box, and there will be a different process for you to, run those virtual machines, right? Although they are developing solutions, better solutions for the newer MacBooks, but it's still difficult to run all VMs on the new MacBooks. Okay, so you would have to do something about it. All right. For those of you who are using Windows, you will not face any problems at all. Okay. And then if anyone wants to install VirtualBox, you can also install VirtualBox. Right. So you will click on download VirtualBox 7.0 and you would have to select your operating system. Okay. For Windows, for Mac OS Intel, and now they have released a developer version for the M1 M2 hosts as well. So just click on the download button, and the process of installing it is self-explanatory. You just have to click on next, next, next. It's not very difficult. It's like how you would install Microsoft Word. Get it from the internet, run the installer, and that's it. Your software will be installed. It's that easy. Okay. Then coming to the operating systems, the operating system that we would use is Kali. Okay. So if you are using VMware Workstation or VMware Fusion, download this. If you are using VirtualBox, then download this. Okay. And then you have two versions as well, 64-bit and 32-bit. Okay. So now excluding Rahul and Sumit, I want others to participate and tell me what is the difference between 32-bit and 64-bit. What is it? Yes, can anyone tell me? What is the difference between 32 bits and 64 bits? What is it all about? Is it a game or is it something else? What is it? That's the architecture. Right. And what else, Seth? Yeah, can you unmute yourself and tell me about it? Okay.
Hi, it's the architecture the program wrote based on like
Right.
the whole coding is different. It's different architecture.
Okay. And like I understand that it's the architecture, but 32-bit versus 64-bit, like it should be a size of a unit. Which unit is it referring to?
It's like the OS.
Not
The
really.
RAM processing speed.
Nope, it's not that. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. What is the fastest memory unit on your computer?
RAM.
RAM, okay. Unfortunately and surprisingly, there's a memory unit which is even faster than that, right?
Hmm.
And it's inside your CPU.
Caching.
Oh,
Faster than the cache as well.
Processor.
Inside the processor. Inside your
Hardware.
processor, inside the processor, you've got something called registers. Okay, you've got something called registers. So registers are the fastest yet the smallest memory units on your computer. All right. So 32-bit, when you refer to the 32-bit OS, it means that the computer that it is running on has the architecture of, has the register size of 32 bits, right? It does not mean that, it's always going to be that way. You can have a 64-bit computer and you could still run a 32-bit OS on it, right? You could still run a 32-bit OS on it. Now, the problem is that the way the applications are created for 32-bit OSs and 64-bit OSs, that's different, okay? So if you want to save space, you could install 32-bit version of these operating systems, but I would not recommend that because most of the tools that are created these days are created for 64-bit operating systems, right? So their coding is a little bit different. The registers, the way they work is going to be different from each other, okay? So that's the difference between 32 bits and 64 bits. And we are going to explore these registers in a section called malware analysis, where we will be dealing with assembly language, right? So that is the language spoken by your processors, right? Why VMware Fusion or VMware Workstation would not work properly on ARM-based processors? It's because their assembly language, the way their processor works is different. So these instructions, the applications would not work properly, would not be able to get decoded properly on the ARM processors, right? ARM processors are really good for programming and emulation, so, right? So if you want to emulate an older gaming console on your M1 MacBook or on your M2 MacBook, it would work perfectly, right? If you want to emulate PS3, right, or PS4 on your M1 MacBook, that would work perfectly. But if you talk about virtualization, no, you won't be able to run VMs properly on those MacBooks. Got it? So that's how it works. Anyways, I'm going to talk about this in the upcoming classes. So better stick to the 64-bit version of the operating system, right? We will install it tomorrow, so that for those of you who don't know how to install an operating system on a hypervisor, I would show that to you, okay? Don't worry about it. And since I did not get a lot of responses, related to what a hypervisor is, I'm just going to diagrammatically represent it. So you've got your computer, okay? And this is the hardware. On top of your hardware, you have an OS. Okay. Now, what if I want to run multiple OSs simultaneously on my device? Just like all the other apps that I install on my operating system, like let's say I've got Microsoft Word, I'm playing Spider-Man Remastered on my OS, although Mac OS does not support it. Let's say if I'm doing this on Windows, what else? I'm running Zoom. And then, just like these apps, I would install another app, which is known as a hypervisor. So on top of this hypervisor, you would run multiple virtual machines. And what are virtual machines? Virtual machines are operating systems, right? Virtual machines are nothing but operating systems that you can deploy on top of a hypervisor. And let's say this is Kali Linux. This is Windows, Microsoft Windows. This right here is Mac OS. So I can run them simultaneously, right? And now what's the purpose of running a VM? Why can't you do it on your physical operating system? I can run most of the tools on Mac OS, but I can't run most of the tools on Windows, right? So the reason why we are working with virtual machines is because number one, we don't want a lot of bloatware on our physical operating systems. Although it's not bloatware, but we would consider it bloatware. The reason for that is there are a lot of libraries that need to be installed. There are a lot of tools that need to be installed, a lot of dependencies that need to be installed. And you would see that your physical operating system, is all jumbled up. You won't like the way it is organized. So that's why we'll install a virtual machine. Okay. And since we have to learn and work with different operating systems, like we'll be working with Kali Linux, we'll be working with an operating system called Surugi Linux, Remnux, maybe Commando VM, maybe Flare VM. So I don't want you to wipe out the original operating system on your device and replace it with one of these. Okay, so don't do that, right? So we'll be using a hypervisor because we want to work with different operating systems, right? And the reason why we are installing these operating systems is because we don't have to worry about installing the tools from scratch, right? Although it's not a problem, but sometimes downloading a tool is not that straightforward. Installing a tool is not that straightforward. You might have to compile the tool. You might have to, run a few extra commands to make sure that the code is working or the tool is working. So that's the reason why we will be working with Kali Linux, because all the tools will be pre-installed. Got it? Most of the tools will be pre-installed. Any tool that is not there, we'll get it from GitHub, or we'll get it from some other website, or maybe the official repository of Linux, right? So yeah, cost effective as well, right? So no worries, Seth. Yeah, you could leave the session. That's fine. Okay. So this is what we are going to do in tomorrow's class. Other than that, yeah, I just want you to install. I just want you to download the requirements that I mentioned here. Installing, leave it for tomorrow. I'll show that to you. Okay. And coming to a question that was asked by Yuvraj, right? Like, is this the only platform that we will be working with for practicing? No, not really. We have other platforms as well. Like one of my favorite is TryHackMe. Okay. So on TryHackMe, you will find a lot of labs. Okay. And now that December is almost there, right? You just got 11 days. There is event. There is an event that TryHackMe does every, or TryHackMe organizes every year, right? So it's called Advent of Cyber. So they'll teach you a lot of concepts. They'll teach you a lot of concepts related to cybersecurity. And if you're able to perform them properly, if you're working on a task every day, you qualify for a lot of vouchers. Okay. At this time, they're not giving out any OSCP vouchers. No, they are actually. They are giving offensive security learn one subscriptions. Okay, so what is offensive security? Offensive security is another training company, much bigger than EC Council, right? Their certifications are much, prominent and significant than CEH, but it's that the problem is that they are very costly. Okay, so unless and until your organization is sponsoring you, well, it's going to be expensive, because you would have to spend around $5,000, not 5,000 INR. You will be spending around $5,000. So that's expensive, right? And it's not guaranteed that you will pass the certification the first time. Okay. So if you take up these labs, you'll be able to qualify for, different prizes, right? What's the harm, right? Even if you win an AirPod Pro, that's fine, right? So, but that's just the bonus. You will be learning a lot of new concepts here, right? So they have mentioned what they would be teaching you. They would be teaching you blue teaming, which means defensive cybersecurity, vulnerabilities in the web, with which you can learn web app pen testing, as well as you can try to become a bug bounty hunter. They'll teach you secure coding, right? So for those of you who are developers or who are application implementation engineers, or if you deal with code in any sort of way, like if you are in the field of DevOps, they will teach you the concepts of secure coding. And then this time they have IoT hacking as well, right? So TryHackMe is a really nice platform that I have used and have been using since 2019. It's a great platform. When I started using this platform, there were only 10,000 people. And now my rank is 10,000, and you can see how many users are there on this platform now. So it's a big platform for learning cybersecurity, right? Then we'd be using this for practice, for practicing the labs. Then we've got Hack My VM, not so popular. Instead of this, we've got Hack the Box, extremely popular. Companies use this for recruitment as well. So there are a lot of platforms, bug bounty platforms, and there are some companies uh, which use Hack the Box for recruitment as well. Then we've got OneHub. This is for offensive cybersecurity. For defensive cybersecurity, we've got cyberdefenders.org. We've got Blue Team Labs online. We have got letsdefend.io. There are a lot of platforms, right? A lot of them, right? You'll get tired, learning all those concepts on all those platforms, right? So don't worry about the platforms. We have a lot of them. You just have to focus on getting started, right? So what we're going to do tomorrow is we will install the required tools and software on our devices, right? And then we'll take up a few concepts related to networking. All right. So any questions for me?
Adit, one question, like for the CEH practical, so what are the prerequisites you are looking for from, I mean, being a learner, what should be the prerequisite for us?
No, I don't expect anything at all, because I'll be starting everything from scratch, right? So let's say you have, let's assume that you're a college graduate, a fresh college graduate. That's, see, you should know what computers are and how they work, right? And you
Yep.
should be able to install a few tools by yourselves, right? So let's say I want you to work on a lab, a VM. So all I want from you is to install the hypervisor, right? Installing a hypervisor is not that difficult. So that's all I want, nothing else at all,
Okay.
right? So that's it. Okay. So I'll be teaching the concepts related to computer networking. I'll be teaching the concepts related to Linux. I'll be teaching concepts related to JavaScript, Python, and that's it. Okay. Because you can't learn everything, right? Coming to Linux, like I mentioned in all my courses, is used by a lot of people. DevOps engineers, system administrators, what else? Cybersecurity analysts, programmers. So we don't have to learn Linux, like we are preparing for RHCSA, right? We just need to know that much Linux just to get started into cybersecurity, right? That's all we need. All right.
All right. Yep.
So I think your course portal is also going to become active, right? So I'll just take you to learn.mwkings.com. This is the portal. where you will be accessing the class recordings, whereas live.nwkings is the portal from where you will be joining the classes. Let me refresh the page once. I see only 6 students here, right? And I believe that most of the students who joined today, they joined through a different link, right? The support team would have provided you that link. So what you have to do is you must have received an email on how to set up your account on live.nwkings.com, right? So you go to this link. Whenever I start the class, you'll get a notification and you just have to click on go live or join the class. That's it, nothing else. Now we use this platform to monitor your attendance, right? And I'd be sharing some resources on this platform. But most of the resources, most of the assignments would be available on learn.nwkings.com under your course. For example, if I show you one of my batches, so before your batch, there was a CEH V11 May weekend batch going on. So they started in May, their course ended in November, right? So you can figure out how much time would it take to complete your batch, okay? So every class would have been titled properly, right? And for every session, you will get some references. Now, these references are very important, right? It's not that I'm using these references to, avoid plagiarism. This is not academia. I'm using these references because you are going to use them. You're going to require them. You have to copy these links and put them in your note-taking tool, right? Keep these links with you because you will be needing them for your exam, for your interviews, right? And for upskilling yourself. Let's say if I go to this topic, setting up burp suite, you'll get homework as well. You'll get articles, you'll get write-ups that you have to focus on, okay? So this is where you will be getting the assignments, the labs, okay? Some reading materials and so on, okay? And now you can contact me through learn.nwkings.com, but I wouldn't recommend that. What I would do is I am going to create a small group for all of us, not a WhatsApp group. It's going to be a Discord group, okay? So Discord is an app similar to, WhatsApp and other, VoIP applications where you can send messages within a group, and you can even call me. You can even set up a video call, right? This is where, you can ask me questions after the session as well, yeah, and during the weekdays as well, right? So I'm just going to create a new group. Let's create a study group or a club. Let's call it CEH November weekend. Invite your friends. I'm going to copy the link, paste it in the chat box. So you need to have a Discord account already, okay? And make sure to install the Discord app on your phone as well, right? Because you'll be getting notifications in real time, okay? So that is all that I wanted to discuss today for our class 0, right? Tomorrow will be class 1. And that is where we'll be installing the tools, the VMs, and going through a few concepts related to computer networking, right?
Adhirath, how to join this Discord group? You
just
will
have to.
send them.
I have sent the link. I have. So have you joined through the phone or through your laptop?
So I just installed the app on my phone and I'm looking for the team.
Okay, so the link that I've shared, you just have to go to this link, right?
Okay.
And you'll be able to join the group, right? So this is the group link.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So I can see that someone has joined, CCSP aspirant. Nice. That's a nice name. So who's CCSP aspirant here? Okay, cool. And that's a nice name. You should aim for higher as well, right? You should aim for CSSP, you should aim for OSCP, OSWE, OSED, and other certifications as well, right? Cool. Okay. So that's going to be all for today, everyone. We'll meet tomorrow and take this up further. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. And see you tomorrow. Have a great Saturday.
Bye.
Thanks. Yeah. Bye. Bye.